Hello there, Stacey Ashley here, and gosh, I've had about a week's break since my last LinkedIn Live. How time flies. So welcome if you are live, and if you're watching the recording, then I would love to hear your thoughts and comments as well. I want to focus on leadership, but also in particular creating the space to lead. It's been a big topic of conversation with clients and colleagues, and it's all about, I guess, some of the challenges that have always existed but seem to be a little bit more aggravated or accentuated at the moment because we're still working under a variety of different and changing conditions. So I would love to know from your perspective what at the moment is taking up your space, taking up your time, getting in the way of you being able to find and create the space to lead. Let me just check my stream and make sure that we are actually live, which is a bit slow, super slow, in fact. Okay, there, we are live. So welcome, and I'd love to know, what's getting in your way. So what I've been hearing is that people are busy, of course, and that then perhaps challenged because their roles in a lot of cases seem to have kind of expanded in terms of the amount of time they take up and the amount of space that they take up. And so, making good decisions about where do I invest my time as a leader is even more important than usual. But the other thing that seems to be a really big challenge is that because people are moving between workplaces, so maybe 1 week they're in the workplace, 1 week they're at home, or maybe they're always at home, or they've got these kind of changing offices, then that's also creating a challenge because their workspace is not necessarily actually supporting their leadership and their ability to lead. So what I wanted to do today was actually just to share a way of thinking about your space or your spaces and how to find and create the space that will actually give you time to focus on being a leader. And so it's, as always, pretty simple, pretty practical, but I think it could be pretty useful as well. So I'm just going to firstly get rid of my banner, and then I'm going to pop up my iPad as well. So I'm hoping that you can see that there. So I really want to focus on something that's pretty straightforward for you to be able to actually use and do something with. So the first thing I hear is that people have got these workspaces and they might be working at the kitchen table or at home in the study, or they're between the office and other, locations, because we've got this kind of constant state of flux at the moment. So our first workspace or space that we need to consider when we think about our leadership, and that's not a particularly great circle, so let's try that again. Maybe third time lucky. There we go. So the first space to think about is your physical space. So in terms of your physical space, what's the space that you've actually got? Have you in fact got enough space to work in? Does it actually hold all your devices and equipment and things like that? Or have you actually got nowhere, to do your work? And so I know for some people, they like to have their devices in one space, and then they want to have another place where they can actually do writing and reading and things like that. The other thing, and so you want to be able to actually do the different types of work that you have and have a workspace physically that supports you. But the other thing is that in your physical workspace, you don't want to have too much clutter, too much just stuff hanging around, because it's super distracting from a visual perspective, and it's also really hard to find the things that you need. So that's the first thing, is we need to kind of sort out our physical workspace, even if it is the kitchen table, even if it is, wherever you happen to be working at the moment. Make sure that you've actually got a space that you can set up as well as possible, given the circumstances, to actually be able to do your work. So that's the first thing. The second big space challenge is the calendar. So let's get that up here as well. All right. So the calendar. I hear, and I'd love to know if this is something that you experience, but I hear people tell me all the time, I'm too busy. I've got so much going on. I've got so many meetings, all of this kind of stuff. I might even make that slightly larger. Is that better? I don't know. So the calendar is, it's crammed full of stuff that maybe isn't the right stuff. So what I'm hearing is that people are getting invitations to loads of meetings at the moment, the Zoom meeting, the Google Hangouts, the MS Teams, like people have gone meeting mad. And so people's calendars are being sucked up by all of these meetings instead of people making really deliberate choices about what's the best use of my time, where can I make the biggest impact. And as a leader, of course, you want to focus on the high value, high impact. And that includes things like spending time with your team to grow and develop them. Yeah. And so where do you make a difference as a leader? That's what should be in your calendar. And so you need to start making really clear-cut decisions about how you allocate time in your calendar rather than it just being a space for other people's meetings. You want time to think, allocated in your calendar. You want time to be able to react to important things that come up. You want time for your strategic deliverables in your calendar, not just busy work, not just meetings where you don't even know why you happen to be in this meeting. So make really clear choices about how you use your calendar space and create space to think and plan and do the important things. So that's the second component. And then the third area of space that you need to really think about creating space, finding space as a leader is your mental space. You need to make sure that mentally you're creating the opportunity for you to actually be able to think and create. Don't clutter your brain up with just miscellaneous stuff. If you've got thoughts and you're like, I must remember to do this and I can't forget that, put them somewhere else. Put them on a to-do list. Put them into your calendar. Get them out of your brain. Your brain can only hold maybe 7 thoughts consciously at a time. And so if some of those 7 thoughts are just the little tiny things, then you can't get to the big important stuff. And so you really need to create mental space for yourself as well. So those are the 3 dimensions you need to create space for yourself. And when I'm talking about leadership, I'm not just talking about people leaders. I'm talking about thought leaders and portfolio leaders and, all of that as well, because you all need this space to be a leader, to show up as a leader and to do your leadership thing. And so by creating the right kind of physical space to do your work, by allocating space in your calendar and setting clear boundaries about what's important and what's not, and by decluttering your brain and creating some mental space and capacity, then you've got the ability to focus, to think, and to create. And that's going to put you in a much better situation to be able to lead. Yeah, to lead your people, to lead the activities that you need to deliver, to lead strategy and planning, and to lead yourself, of course. But if all of those spaces are cluttered up and have got the wrong things in them, then you're not creating that opportunity for yourself. So you have all of these things in your control. And so you need to actually make some decisions about physical space, calendar space, mental space, so that you can actually step up and lead. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are and what you're doing for yourself in terms of creating that space and opportunity for you to lead. I'm just going to check who's here. Go. Okay. So for anyone who is interested in just giving their leadership a little bit of a boost, I'm going to pop the details of the 28-day self-coaching challenge in here for you. And that's all about just helping you to focus on your leadership and to really, to consciously step up every single day for 28 days. So you can just comment 28 days below as well, and I can give you the link. Otherwise, I hope that that's been useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you create the space to lead and the type of impact that has made for you. If you've got any other areas of interest in leadership and questions and that sort of thing, pop those in there as well, and I'll add them to the list of potential topics for future lives. Otherwise, have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.